So I again have the TCFD report for the year 2024 that's published by Microsoft. And in this tutorial, we'll cover mapping the physical risks. Now, I just want to give you a glimpse of how physical risks are written in a real life ESG report and what we are trying to automate with the toolset that we have at our disposal. So I'll quickly go down to the index itself. And in the index, you could see that Microsoft had disclosed some water related risk and opportunities and something related to managing climate and water related risks. So these risks that you see, they entail both transition risks as well as physical risks. So transition risks are related to uh, something like you want to transition from an existing policy to a new policy and what might be the challenges. But physical risks entail the physical impacts that externalities could have on the existing infrastructure that you have. So similarly, if I try to search for physical risks and I get 5 search matches, and I'll just quickly go over through them. So Microsoft has disclosed on some climate related risk and opportunities, and you could see it has disclosed on both transition as well as physical risks over here. So for transition risk, it does, and for both physical risk and transition risk, it does a periodic assessment of short term, medium term, and long term. And for physical risk, it does a scenario analysis of RCP 8.5 and RCP 4.5, which is something that we learn as the medium moves forward. But let's keep it short until now. And if you try to go through more search results that you see, it has again disclosed on some physical risks over here. And similarly, even physical risks that are related to operational water related risk assessments right over here. And again, acute and chronic physical risks is something that it discloses on. So all of that stuff, related to repairing its affected operations or affected infrastructure due to calamities, due to natural calamities, everything comes under physical risks. Uh, and that's what we are trying to automate with the physical risk mapper in the CarbonOps tool set. So with this video, we'll cover physical risks for TCFD segment and analysis in CarbonOps. So that's going to form the video 4 of the entire tutorial series. So I'm going to go ahead and select my client, Microsoft Tech Global, and then click on the generate button. As simple as that, right? We are trying to save time, and that's the main work that we put in CarbonOps. So that's like the response that I get. So I do get physical risks that are classified as being short-term risks, medium-term risks, and long-term risks. So what TCFD wants you to do as per its implementation guidance is that it wants you to generate, first of all, the risk description, financial impacts, and the mitigation adaptation strategies. So that's very basic. But they also want you to do scenario analysis. And by scenario analysis, I mean they want you to perform how does RCP 4.5 and RCP 8.5 affect your short term, medium term, and long term risks in terms of being low intensity, medium intensity, and high intensity. So RCP 4.5 is the scenario in which you expect the temperature rise to be around, well below 2 degrees centigrade, not above that, somewhere around 1.5 to 2 degrees centigrade by the end of this century. So that's like if, this is the scenario if people carry out business not as usual, but rather take into account mitigation strategies. But if people carry out business as usual, then we are heading towards RCP 8.5, in which the overall temperature increase by the end of this century is expected to be around 3.7 to 5 degrees centigrade, which is a lot and would mean a lot of adverse situations for us. So you do get risk description, financial impact, mitigation, and then the scenario analysis with it. Let's go through one of that. So in short-term risks, the first risk description is disruption of critical cloud services supply chain due to acute climate hazards like extreme heat events impacting key supplier, such as semiconductor and networking hardware manufacturers. And that's your financial impact. So it could lead to potential delays in hardware delivery, which could disrupt Microsoft's ability to maintain and expand cloud infrastructure, all of that stuff. And as far as the mitigation adaptation strategies are concerned, Microsoft could engage in supplier resilience assessments, diversify supply base geographically, and collaborate with suppliers. And then in risk analysis, this is termed as being a medium intensity risk under RCP 4.5 and a high intensity risk under RCP 8.5. Now, it also gives you the reasoning. So, under RCP 4.5, it tells that moderate increase in temperature events are projected, but uh, that's not much. Uh, these are moderate and but can definitely intermittently disrupt supplier operations. But then again, these are less likely to cause widespread prolonged outages. So that's why it's termed as being medium intensity. Now, in RCP 8.5, if you click on view reasoning, it tells you that in RCP 8.5, projects more frequent and severe extreme heat events, increasing the likelihood of significant supply chain interruptions for Microsoft's critical hardware supplies. So likewise, you're going to have these values for short term, medium term, and long term risks. And that's the auditability and transparency part about Microsoft that we're talking about, presenting you with citations that can be traced back to the source documents that you uploaded. So that's those citations in action for you for all the documents that you uploaded under the client and data panel. Well, that's pretty much it. That's all about physical risk mapping with the TCFD toolset. In the next video, we'll cover climate opportunities.